get back where we left off. All right, and this is what we were working on, our Tiger 1 build. From Dragon. All right. Of course, we've got to find out where the heck we left off at. See, we put the rear plate on. We did, okay? And we did not put the side skirts on. And there is a couple old holes there. What's up, Ben? Let's check the messages, make sure the messages are up. This is just, these instructions are just flat out wrong. You know, here it doesn't even show there's a build piece on there, but we know it had that close support mortar is there. There's a hole here. There's all kinds of QC. You know, I wasn't expecting QC issues when I leave work. It doesn't tell me to put the side escape hatch, but we know we have to put that on there. Am I aware of the fate of the Hogan's Heroes set? No. You mean like the movie set? I have fond memories watching that show with my dad. Did it catch fire recently or something? I'm going to take this off the map because there's some things here that just aren't shown. Like this, it doesn't ever tell me to put this piece on. So we're going to go ahead and remove that and install it now. I just found out today that Pakistan and India are going at it, or something like that. Well, using that Isla movie. Isla movie. What Isla movie is that? Where a Panzer Gray captured M8 crashes the gate. I don't know what movie that is. That's something that, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Hollywood stuff. I'm certainly not a huge fan. Like, I don't want to, like, meet famous actors. Like, that doesn't interest me, okay? What would be cool is if there's, like, some show that you watched all the time. She-Wolf of the... Never heard of that. Saw a clip of it, and I thought, oh, man, Tony would have a pulmonary at it. No. What is that? Is that like a B movie? USA Up All Night. Isla. She-Wolf of the SS. But it would be cool to go and visit movie sets. Like there's a couple of shows I've watched with the wife, and we're like, man, this is like really involved. Like there's this over here, and it connects to the other thing. It's just kind of cool. You know, the guys are unsung. You know, the sculptors of the TV show world are these guys that make these TV sets and the details that they go into them. I think that would be neat. But you know, of course, they're on a movie set, and they're probably um, what do you call them? Cannibalized afterwards for other things. But those guys don't get enough credit, and that's really a pretty freaking cool job. Like I've gone to these like Universal Studios or someplace like that. I mean, like the theme park, and they'll have stuff that's painted to look like worn or whatever. I'm always like, I'd love to take that class of how they went and weathered that stuff. Oh, I could probably do some of it, but it'd be cool. I appreciate all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the side escape hatch is facing like this. Okay, you know what? I got trust issues. I got trust issues with people that can't even number things correctly. So let's grab our reference here, and let's make sure that all that matches. What did I come? I came across something today. Um, oh yeah, it's from that Mike's research page. And that guy's got a great website. Mike's research page. Okay. Let's see if we can. Okay, that checks out. Checks out. One of the gripes about this model is the artwork shows like separate link track on the outside of the tank, and they don't show and they don't have any. But people get I've noticed that they get real stingy with that. Multiple models of the King Tiger that don't have any. Like, you cheapskate. I was heartbroken to learn that Planet of the Apes set was taken apart decades ago. What if I told you I've never seen Planet of the Apes? None of them. The movies, well, it's a plot that doesn't interest me. Never seen it. Don't have an interest in seeing it. As far as I'm concerned, this is Planet of the Apes. I got to deal with them every day. And they don't have opposable thumbs. Oh, we switch glasses. Sons of bitches. There, that's better. Now we got plus 3.5 magnification. And just to think that just a few years ago I could do this with 20/20 vision. Well, that's annoying. This doesn't fit flush. Never seen Planet of the Apes. Matter of fact, as soon as there was like an ape, I know that ape stuff was like really big in the 60s and 70s. As soon as it was like an ape type character, I like tune out. I'm like, I'm not interested in seeing that. Wasn't there like a wasn't there like an ape character on Land of the Lost or something like that? I didn't give a shit. I care. It was all about the dinosaurs. I'd rather mess with a horny sleeve stack than one of those apes. I'd ring people to take you away to locations unknown. Never seen it. Those old science fiction shows. I watched a fair amount of Lost in Space because it was on. What else did I see that was that submarine, the voyage to the bottom of the sea? I watched that. That wasn't available in Florida for whatever reason. I never saw that one in Florida. That's an Alabama thing. What else? That may be it. And like after school, Doctor Who would come out, and it was episodes that were already 7 years old or something like that, I guess. And of course, it doesn't make any fucking sense to a kid. I can't even handle that. It's this big, and then when you get inside, it's huge. Like, okay, no, I don't do those kind of drugs, man. So I'm like the wrong. I'm the wrong demographic for science fiction. I've just never. I've never really cared for it. It's too much. It's not believable. It's gotta be believable to some degree for me to be interested in it. All right, let's see what's down here in the. It says these items aren't used. Parts not for use. Okay. Okay, so you can't. Oh, you can't use this hatchet. Don't you dare use it. Don't you dare put an extra hatchet on there. But there's zero extra tracks on here. There's none here at the bottom of the front, and there's none on the side, which almost all of them have this at the front. Cheapskate. Cheapskate. All right, let's put on piece A3, or is it piece A3? Well, we'll put that hatchet back in the group of things to use later. A3, here it is. There was that Lancelot Lynx. Oh man, I had a coworker who's he's probably 12 years older than me, maybe even older than that. And I remembered that, where they would sit there and talk. It was one of those things. And he mentioned it. The first thing I mentioned to him was, and we'd crack each other up on that shit. They had to dub over, and they would just be masticating, like give give the monkey some gum, and then we'll do a voice over him. Yeah. Who would have thought that was a man? Yep. I can just see him. I can't get that high anymore. That's probably a good thing. I think that's what it was called. Lancelot Lake Secret Channel. The first Alien movie is excellent, but not something you need to be seeing as a kid. I never saw it until I was already could watch a rated R movie. Okay, so this little nugget goes like this, supposedly. Somebody's review of this, they said, okay, ready for this? They said, that the loader's hatch doesn't open, like it's welded shut. However, it's detailed on the inside. Like, it's almost like somebody designed it, like, we're going to make it open. And we don't have time. Oh, sorry, they're Chinese. Oh, we don't have time for that. Japanese sound more constipated. All right, let's make sure that we put this on. There. Yeah, I've always lived in places that has limited TV. Well, now we have access to everything, but now it's like, is it worth my time to sit down and watch Rat Patrol? I watched like 2 episodes of it. I've never seen it before. It wasn't something like I avoided it. I've seen like 1 episode of Baba Black Sheep. I would have watched that. Nope, just didn't have it in the area. It must have been somebody's else's house. I mean, that's totally something I would have watched. So now it's like, why would I watch that shit now? This type of decisions sure do make you wonder until you have experience in a corporate environment. Yeah, fuck corporate environments. That's just ass clowns running the show. Okay, well, we've got a little directional guide for this, so we can put this Navartampunzenwaffe. I could pronounce it if I had the spelling in front of me, but it ends with an N. It starts with an N and ends in a Waffe. Fuck me up the ass. Okay, well, we might have to cut this one short. I know about where it is. Well, let's get in there then, I guess. It's either that or I got to stop building this thing. All right, let's put these things away. Hey, it's what you guys watch this for, right? Sorry, I needed to stand up anyways. I'm not concerned. Now, if I had to have this made, painted tonight for some event tomorrow, yeah, I'd have a moo cow. I don't give a shit. Oh, can't finish it? Okay. Fine, we'll work on something else. I know the next two things I want to work on. Here it is. All you gotta do is give up, and it shows up. All right, I'm not gonna make your life miserable. All right, I'll come back. It helps if you know kind of the cardinal direction of where it went. All right, you insolent piece of shit. Let's do this. Let's go get a piece of tape. Okay. Yeah, we didn't have a shitload of choices like people do now. And now I'm like, why am I gonna watch an old show? Like at one point, before I was doing this, I think before I was doing any live sessions, I'm like, I need something to watch while I'm doing this. And I'm like, let me watch it. I'm not really a fan of them, but they're all I can watch them in order. Let me watch all the old Star Trek episodes. And I got to like 2 episodes, and I lost interest. I'm like, I don't want to watch this shit. Like it's too dated. You know, let's make sure this thing isn't dull. I have used it quite a bit. That Chinese steel isn't as sharp as it used to be. It was a lot sharper than Ming Dynasty or the Tang. But anyways, I went to that Mike's research page, which that guy's page is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I figured he would have something on tigers in Tunisia. And he didn't. He had tigers in Italy. The information that he has, if you have something that he's interested in, you know, if you're interested in something and he happens to have it, that ought to be like your first stop. Because there's some really good stuff. So he had this article that I was just kind of scrolling through. And it was an article on a U.S. tank ace, and I don't know if this is where they got the idea of Fury from, but his handle happened to be War Daddy, Lafayette Pool, and there's a lot of really detailed stuff in there. And one of the things that's interesting about it is that whatever I think it was the Third Armored Division, the regiment that he was part of, it literally broke down. You know, A company was this, B company was this, C company, not exactly what's in there, but like, you know, it told you which ones the Stewarts were in. You're like A, B, and C, the Stewarts were in. So D, E, and you know, it was like the first battalion had companies A, D, and like H. And it was like staggered like that. And the next one would have like B, E, and I or something like that. went through all three of the battalions in the regiment. I was like, holy cow. Because then you're like, all right, well, we know that if you wanted a unit, like, okay, that battalion that has the M4s could be, start with an I. And I believe his tank in there is the one that called, and they make a model of it. It's relatively well known, called In the Mood. Like, oh, that's why it starts with an I. So now it just so happens that my Shermans, well, I have a mixture. Ones that start with an A and a B. I don't really care that much about that, but that's just that particular regiment how they did it. But plus there's stuff like when did they win in action and what they found, that kind of stuff. This is harder than it looks. I may have to take my contacts out. There's a little bit of flash there. I think I'm gonna glue it, and then we'll get the flash after it's glued on there. But I'm reading this Tunisia book, man. I'll finish it up one of these days. I just don't have really long drives at work or to work. And when you hear about American forces getting attacked by Stukas, you're like, what alternate reality am I in? But sure enough, in Tunisia, they got airborne and shit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and install the, the roof of this. Okay, and the hatch is going to be open. So let's go ahead and glue it open. No compromising on that. There's just so many things to watch now that you start watching something that doesn't seem great. I like lose interest. Like one of you guys recommended, like, ah, man, you need to watch Altered Carbon. So I started watching. I watched like an episode and a half, and I'm like, nah, just didn't do it for me. I forget what it was that I don't know why I thought about that, but And I don't mind stuff like Black Mirror because it's not super science fiction-y. I mean, some of it is, but some of the episodes, but most of them are not are right. It's reasonable. I have a friend of mine that absolutely hated anything that had to do with time travel, and I'm like, I like not time travel, yeah, time travel, as long as it's done okay. We're all right. We're going to need to use some special set of skills here for this. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use one of these little sanding things. So yeah, he hated time travel. I don't mind it as long as it's done right. I don't like multiple universes. That's a no-no. I'm like, I'm out. You put that on there, you might as well put aliens in it. I don't mean aliens for like an alien where it's like, okay, well we're in space too, and then you encounter other stuff. I'm just talking about like we're over here, we're at a sock hop here, and then aliens decide to show up. Like, no, I'm not interested in watching that. And I'm always going to root for the humans. Always. That's what a human supremacist does. People first. Well, that worked well. Okay. We got to swing this. Swing out, sister. We got to swing this sister on out. Now, let's confirm that before we make a decision that. Well, that doesn't even show the hatch open. It's almost rotated to the rear a little bit. Let's see if we can get another. Okay. already has that piece on there, okay? We know we're going to have to put those things in. We have all kinds of stuff on the back, and they don't have holes for them, which I guess is okay. I guess that's all right. Because then you don't have to worry about patching if you don't want to use them. There's a piece A7 here. So let's find out where this A7 is. A7 is right here. It has two prongs. And it's saying it goes up in here somewhere. Is there two holes? There isn't. There isn't. Okay, what about A9? It's like a tube. It's like the tube for the gun cleaning kit. Well, that's a 6. A7, A22. Okay, A22 has the two jack things there. Whoa. Oh, I see. Depending on what version you do, one has it over here, the other one has it reversed. Whether it's 134 or 007. No, I don't want to build a certain one. Both are the same unit too, right? First Company, Heavy Panzer Battalion 102. World's first 1/72nd scale injection Zimmerit paste. Patent pending. Let me fire up my computer. Actually, I don't think I can do that. It's on my phone. All right, hold on one second. Might get disconnected here. All right, let's flip this around. Yep, I don't know what you guys saw. Did you hear any sound? I was trying to talk during it. Let me see if I got some rear shots on some of these things. No. All right. The jack is on this side on this tank, so I'm going to move it to the other side. Yeah, that's an early one. Okay, so I need to put it over on this side. And there should be holes for it. Let's just go ahead and pull this one out. No sound? Yeah. I just can't get the temperature right in here. Like I put the fan on here, it's too cold. And it's annoying. Put it on low. If I don't have the fan on, I'm hot. I thought they said that Mia's front thing. Oh, so here's a question. I'm glad you're on here. So I looked at that Mia's front, and it's not on sale, and not the right time to buy a game at this point. But I've seen that thing relatively cheap, so I have to keep an eye out for it. I didn't realize there was that many modules for it. I mean, dude, there's like freaking 50 like different like campaigns and shit for it. I don't know if there's 50, but there's certainly 30. I didn't know that. Do they have a Wintergewitter one? That'd be a selling point. And you know, the thing about Steam that is good, there's one good thing about Steam. Try something out. Okay, I've done this before. Try something out. If you don't like it, return it within a reasonable amount of time. Don't play it for 30 freaking hours. It's not going to work, you know. If the display is clunky or whatever, if it's something that just doesn't seem to work, they'll return your money. That happened with I had a game that has really high reviews is Ultimate General Civil War. I don't know. What am I doing playing a Civil War game? The game looked beautiful. It ran well. And then I realized I'm playing something that could have been any period other than American Civil War, and it would have played this. There's just a complete disconnect between reality. It's over here. I don't see that there's two holes that line up with that. No, I can make my own. But I'm probably going to put these air cleaners in, so I'll leave myself some room and then not put them over the air cleaners and have a different kind of problem. So we'll install these air cleaners in first. Not the air cleaners, the muffler, exhaust. Make sure we don't back ourselves into a corner. Other than the Leningrad one and the modern Somias, they're all Ukraine, but no Vinter better than it. What? That's a missed opportunity. So, what is the difference between the Mias game and say something like the Tunisia one, which is the same team, Graviteam Tactics or whatever, I guess. And what they have like an Operation Star. Is it just like stuff that they did before, and the Mias is just a more fleshed out thing, or do they have similarities? Or because like I think the Tunisia one's available for like $1.50 or something. I just don't like I never played Combat Mission. You know, you have a squad. It's represented by like 3 figures. Like it doesn't look right. Like give me all 10 there or something. Operation Star's old version. Probably need to be careful playing one of those old games, and they not this game ain't worth a shit. Ben don't know what the hell he's talking about. And then the new games are actually good, but did I roll the tanks where the German tanks suck? I'll admit, one of the things that made the German tanks really good was the experience of their crews. But you know, something like this in 1943, there's a limited number of things that can do any damage to it. Operation Star is still far and above the most real-time World War II games like it. It's just Mia's Front is a full level above that still. Operation Star, I want to say Operation Star is, actually I don't know what it is. No, I was thinking of Saturn. The Soviets on the assault. Operation Star's got to be where the Germans are still in gray tanks. It will be ambrosia for someone like you with your passion. I don't know. If the problem is that I could find a bunch of errors. You know, I'm difficult about shit when it's something that I know. You know, like I'm playing that Armored Commander, and I'm like, let me be commander of a group of Panzer 35s, right? And right off the bat, my first mission, I'm in a unit that has 38s also in it. I'm like, can't play this. Like, they didn't mix them. I mean, all you got to do is just ask me. I don't know everything, but there's a lot of stuff I do know for sure, for sure. Operation Star is 1942, but those scenarios are in Maya's Front. Oh, okay. So you get Maya's Front, and you could play. There's an Operation Star all by itself. Then that's probably an older version of the game. Well, the game that I saw that I thought I would have really liked, and I never jumped on it, was that Eugen Systems. Eugen! He took a right in the Eugen. Eugen! Um, Steel Division things. But after playing a demo of something that is like that, I wouldn't like that because you're constantly like putting out fires. You're constantly being, redirected, and, you don't have a chance just to sit back and, look at things. Oh, it's going to be that tight of a fit? All right. Well, we'll go ahead and install it and then dribble the stuff on it. The dribbler. So I guess I've convinced you that I know a little bit about World War II. I'm a World War II guy. I'm not an ancients and medieval. The fact that I knew any of that stuff. Well, that is one of the things I did like about DBA. I learned new shit. I learned combat stuff. Like I knew most of the history. Well, in Gravity Team games, the numbers are all messed up as they did. So the first unit in the TOEs is where the numbering starts. So you're 100 and 101 if you only have a few tanks in operation. But that's a minor issue when it's simulating all the other things that actually matter to the combat. Well, that matters a lot, man. Get all my numbers wrong. Well, the Soviet numbering system was messed up because not only did they start number them consecutively, but they also decided to obfuscate how many tanks were in the unit and would start, instead of starting with one, they might start with like 81, for instance. So it made it look like they had 80 more tanks in the unit. Okay, so that's it. Now we can decide where this is going to go. It'd be nice if one of these holes lined up. And then the other one is a little C-clamp thing. Holy shit, hold your horses. There's 2 jacks. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, this is jack number. They don't give you a number. Is it half of the jack? No. Wow. All right. Well, we're getting crazy here. And it's funny because this jack looks like it's covered in like a cloth, right? So it doesn't get rusted. 822 is the one I clipped off. That's this one. So what the hell's this one? Not that I mind having extra jacks. Please, by all means, give me more. So I think what we're going to do is oh, this thing fell off. Okay. We're going to oh, it has the holes in place for this one. Or they is that correct? Okay, well I'll just put it on this side then. That's fine. I don't really have a preference. I mean, I love the kind of detail that the Ostfront game has, but I mean, you just can't enjoy any of it unless you're like running, unless you're really good at it and you're running one vehicle. Okay, that fits in there perfectly. Should check which one the Cromwell. Well, it was already pre-drilled for this one, so this has 2 plugs, 2 holes. All right, it's pre-drilled for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and put it there. I may have told a lie. Okay. The module pivot point is December 1942, but it's way south of Stalingrad, so it may not really be Wintergewitter proper. I think it is. What else would it be? If it's the Germans on the attack, that's what it is. They basically only had, that I know of, 2 places that they were attacking south of Stalin, or well, one of them was due west, and that's the 11th Panzer Division. They were supposed to combine them together, but it didn't work out for them. The Russians launched an attack on in that area before the Germans got a chance to, and the 11th, instead of going on the offense, played little Dutch boy and filling the gaps, and so they never got to do that. But the 11th, along with I want to say another Panzer Division as well, was supposed to go and do the north, and they were going to do one of these, but it's like literally due west. That's where that scenario called South Shaw 79 and ASL takes place, and one of the bridgeheads on the Cheer. A Cheer is the river they were crossing over there, but that's due west of Stalingrad. This one it's pretty far south of Stalingrad, but it's southwest of it. Oh, do we have a dead computer? No. I always keep this thing charged all the way. I must have left it on or something. All right, we'll have to take a look at that. It's near Mozdok. Yeah, I could name some cities, but you didn't know where. It fired up off of next to this. The starting point is this place called Kotelnikovo, which was a railroad junction. Literally, the 6th Panzer Division unloaded there and came under fire while they're up trying to unload. Okay, we're firing up. Mozdok. I go to Mozdok. You go fill up with tea while the computer fires up. I'm going to take a look at that scenario and see if it's Wintergewitter. Now, from what I can tell, the Soviet forces of Wintergewitter weren't camouflaged for snow. And the German forces hardly were. The tanks, anyways. That doesn't mean I'm going to do mine that way. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I want to see. I've seen the Mias thing as cheap as like $14. It's like 31 now. I'm like, I ain't paying $31 for it. Let's go to Steam. Let's flip this thing around. Let's see. Let's flip this thing around. This is why I don't like to build things for the convention. There's no way I'd be able to do all this stuff. I'd be like, I can't spend any time doing other than the absolute minimum. Because I got a show to do. I got a show to go to. The worst thing I've ever bought, the worst game I've ever bought is Tabletop Simulator. I'm better at shuffling cards than using that game. I at least know what a card looks like. Okay, we're going to go to store. We're going to go to Mias. Graviteam Tactics Final. Yeah, look at this. Tunisia 1943 Complete Edition. $2. I want my $2. Graviteam Raid, Graviteam Don Ben. That's starting to sound like, all right, so we're going to go into Mia's front. I'm sure I've seen it around. We don't want to get in trouble with sound, whatever the hell that means. Okay, you said the module was called. See, they didn't do a very good job. I'm like, okay, well, this is the game. I'm like, it just has these three things. No, browse all 30. Like, holy smokes! Treacherous Lakes. I wonder if that's near Finland. Far Escape. Bird Grove. Does this game sell well? Because people don't like the Eastern Front. Pivot Point. I don't think this is it. Raging Bridgehead. I'm going to scan and then we'll come back to that. Typhoon Rising, Leopard's Leap. That's modern. Edge of Storm. Strong Point. Furtive Spring. Oliphant, that's definitely modern. May 42, August 43. Under the Cruel Star, okay. February 43, that's Kharkov. Black Snow. Just trying to see if there's something that would be more. No. Okay. So then we're going to go back to that one. This is the closest if there is one. All right, let's see what we got here. Early December 42, Operation McKenna destroyed the scrambles of enemy troops in the northern group of Transcaucasian and other elements of 58th Army. Black Sea Group forces continues. Yeah, I don't know anything about tank. I don't know anything about tank corps or infantry divisions, unless you're talking about panzer divisions. That's the only ones I can use that to designate, to figure out where they are, because, well, that's what you model, you know. I'm going to build this one with this tank. 2 Operation 15 turn these sides. Show top on Desert Plain Canal. All right, so show me some. Okay, this is an interesting. I don't know what this is, but this is interesting. Lieutenant Rigger, Lieutenant Huber, Lieutenant Panzner. That doesn't sound like a real name. Panzner. Well, I didn't want to skip the first 11 screenshots. Let's see. Let's take this one at a time. Okay, so it looks like it's a canal. Terek River, no idea where that is. That's a T-50. Cute little thing. That's a T-50. Great looking vehicle. They only made a handful of them. There's a Stewie. All those trees are exactly the same height. There's that T-50 again. 88. Bunch of Stewies. T-50s. Welcome to the step. Step right up. There's that canal. Lieutenant Zetsov. Lieutenant Gozod. Well, I like the fact that it just gives you people's names. I like that kind of stuff. I hear it does quite well. It shouldn't be too far down the list. It released in 2021. There's a T-34. It's a Mickey Mouse T-34. I keep forgetting I have that option, that ability on my computer. There's a Mickey Mouse T-34. Is that T-50 again? You know, Jesus, they didn't make more than like 40 T-50s or something like that. It's a really low number. Midweek deal. I don't want to play your bullshit anime game. There's real things that happen that are exciting. T-50, T-50 tank. It's a great looking tank. '69. They built 69 of them. And I think they used them around Leningrad. T-50 excellent design, but still suffered technical problems. At time was found to be as expensive to produce as a more capable T-34. Yeah, just build T-34s then. Much simpler T-60 tanks were already being mass produced. A total of 69 T-50 tanks were built, only 49 of them armed, before production ended in January 42. Okay, how about in action? Combat history. The few T-50s available were deployed on the Leningrad front. Okay. '27 T-50 tanks, both from Leningrad and Cheklovsky factories, were included in the 488th Separate Tank Battalion deployed to the Transcaucasian Front. In October 1942 to January 43, the battalion actively participated in the battles in the North Caucasus. So this must be the area that it's, that battle takes place in. By February 1st, 1943, the battalion did not have any working tanks and soon departed for reorganization. 2 variants. Okay. So then the next thing is, where the hell is that Terek River? Oh, geez. Well, that's beautiful, but... Well, you showed it there to me, but you didn't show me where it is. Oh, it comes out of Baku. Oh, that's way down there. They still making scenarios for this game? Anyhow. All right. Your job is to keep me posted when it's $5 again. They are, but none have come out for 6 months ago. Tell them to contact me. I'll give them ideas for scenarios. Do venture capital, you dumbasses. All right. The thing is I play a game like that with the idea of like, all right, I'm going to play this because I want to play the game in reality. And maybe these guys have access to some kind of orders of battle that I don't have to, and it'll be more accurate. But, and then you find out they don't know any more than you do, unfortunately. Well, let's see. What is it? In about a month and a half, hopefully, I'll be able to go to Plant City where there's another model show. And hopefully we can get I basically got all the 1/72nd scale tanks that were available. If they had like Cromwells or something like that, I'd pick up some Cromwells. I need 4 of them for that Polish scenario. I'm just not putting white stars on them. These guys use original documents. They tend to be 999% accurate. Yeah, I played a demo of Combat Mission once, and I wasn't impressed with Combat Mission. I know it's a different game, but there wasn't much to do. It wasn't real time, right? So you like had to give orders, and then you go, okay, you'd give everybody orders, and then you would play, and it'd be like I think a minute. It was either a minute or 2 minutes, and then it would do whatever it is that you told them to do. If there was opportunity fire or something like that, they'd kind of do it themselves. And then it was like, you just sat there and watched, and I guess you could replay it multiple times if you wanted to. Depends how many times you wanted to get angry. These guys didn't pay attention, didn't do what you wanted them to do. But what really bugged me about it was the infantry. Okay. Because infantry support, not like, whatever, infantry. No, look, it's a lot of the narrative revolves around what happens with the infantry. Oh, those don't line up. Okay. Interesting. They don't line up there. Man, I guess it could line up there. All right. Well, we could plug those little holes. Wasn't motivated to build that sprue goo, man. That just seems really toxic. Be smelling that shit. Not worried about getting high. I'm just worried about just a poisonous type smell. You got to be way too close to that stuff to get high off of it. These little holes were not very noticeable. Yeah, it's not a big deal. We're going to face away from it. Don't tell me it doesn't fit there either. All right, let's move this. That's why I went ahead and put the exhaust in first, because it's like that's inflexible where that goes. That's going where it goes, and that's where it goes. There we go. All right. That's done. A ubiquitous shovel that goes up here. And no holes for it. Okay, we do have the little loops that go here in the front. And I suspect they go in the back as well. And they have the fat part of the loop towards the inside. So there's one side that is fatter than the other one. That goes to the inside. Should have 4 of these. They don't have a demo of that game anywhere you can download, right? I haven't played that demo of the Strategos. I downloaded it. I'm like, I downloaded, looked at it, like this looks like something I've done many times before. Been there, done that, had that done to me. All right. Those little things go to the inside. Okay. So I'm going to try to install these and then drip the little stuff on it. Interesting in that pivot point scenario, some men in the 6th Panzer Regiment had no tanks or were deployed as infantry. Yeah, it drives me crazy that so the 6th Panzer Regiment, that should be like for the 6th Panzer Division, right? Nope. No, the 6th Panzer Division's regiment is the 11th. Make it stop. Sometimes it matches up, but many times it doesn't. Okay, that's facing the right way, so we'll just flip to the other side. Well, you could get it. It's no, like I said, it's no risk. I've gotten probably, I don't know, maybe 4 games I've bought. One of them that people raved about. And it's proof I am not a strategic player. I am not interested in strategic games. Shadow Empire, I think is what it was called. So it's like, like the old game Empire, which I actually was a fan of. Except this one's like, it could be in space somewhere. You're like setting up like a base combat game and like exploring a world. Like, I don't dislike any of those things. Man, the interface was just clunky as shit. And if I don't like an interface, like, I'm out. That's where you spend all your time, is on an interface. So if you have one that just doesn't appeal to you, well, it's probably a good idea to move on. That's where you're going to spend all your waking hours. You like Shadow Empire, but it's involved at times, and the interface is amateur. I hated it. I hated the interface. So you just got to make sure you don't play it for very long, and you can say, hey, this isn't what I wanted, and you get your money back. Yeah, Shadow Empire, man, is just like lots of people love that. Hearts of Iron, not my kind of game. I don't like those kind of games. I don't like any of those games where it's like, I'm going to move from this province to another one. So it gives you like this bar where the guy is like moving across. And it's like, it gets almost all the way to touching the other thing, and somebody backstabs him and he has to walk all the way back. I'm like, I'm fine getting backstabbed. I just don't want to, like, you almost made it all the way to the end. Like, there needs to be like another mechanism. So it's like, oh, we got it. You don't got it. I'm like, no, that's too much like work. That's just unpleasant. All right, that's, I think, all of the pieces that they tell me to put on there. Obviously, there's extra pieces on here. Well, there's stuff like these. What is this 1 and 2? This almost looks like a bracket for the gun or something. Let's see if we can find it in here. Oh, 1 and 2 doesn't get used. Okay. All right, so everything in this zone should be used. Okay, there's a little hatchet here. Piece number 5. Where the hell's 5 go? A5. I don't see A5 listed here. I do not mind having extra little hammers and things. Okay. In this zone, then what do we have here? We've got A6. Which is a clean tube. And it's funny because it doesn't. Oh, there it is. Oh, you use it on this one, but not the other one. Well, I had to switch it the other way, damn it. Okay. Oh, we could save that for another one. What about that piece that's right there? That piece is considered A23. It's a fire extinguisher. Oh. A23 is back on this piece. Okay, there's the little hole for it. All right, cool. Let's put that in there. Yeah, Shadow Empire had a really big following. Okay. These pieces that are next to that, let's see if they really are something. They're the piece next to the wheels. I think they're just flash. I think they're just flash. Okay. Obviously, we have the side skirts. There's the hatchet we're not supposed to use by penalty of death. That jack actually does not have a number descriptor, which is just fine. Okay, let's put that on these side skirts because it looks funny without it. Funny, peculiar. And then there's some games that I haven't played in a long time that are just excellent. That BattleTech game is incredible. It after a while, it's just like rinse and repeat, you know. But and the artwork in it is gorgeous. When you do this, you got to make sure you pull up, so you don't like pull down and gouge it. Let me guess, no holes on here. Yeah, it tells you to put holes in, but it doesn't tell you where. All right, let's do a couple things. First of all, let's go grab the Cromwell Tiger. Wherever she is. Man, where is she? There it is. Gonna look minuscule next to it. Maybe not so much. And what was the other thing that we were going to do with it? Oh, a pen. I need a Sharpie. Actually, not that. It's not that. Yeah, it's a bit smaller. This thing is just absolutely gorgeous. All right, I'm freezing. I'm freezing. Okay. I put the jack and this on the same side that this one is. Cool. Cool, like that. Interesting. This little clamp faces out. This one faces in. I put this one facing in, and it's out on this one. So a little bit of mixture. I didn't have a choice how that one went in. That one's molded in there like that. Okay. So one thing to note is it looks like this is at a slope. So the normal part of me would have said, okay, well, we want to make it even with the top, and you don't want it even with the top. You need it even with the bottom, that same line. So that there's more meat back here than there is here. And by meat I mean how much space there is from the top of the hole until you hit that flange is less on the front than it is on the back. Okay. Well, that's important to know. I may not have done that. So you don't want to lay this thing completely across. So I'm going to set this like this. Where's this peg? Here? This is pretty safe to do. I don't, I don't think I'm likely to mess this up too badly or be unhappy with the results. Let's put it that way. Huh. Somehow we're off by a little bit. Let's make sure that this go towards the back a little bit. Yep, a little bit more, and then we'll be right where we need to be. Yeah, doing this with white metal and epoxy and things like that, that's just really unpleasant. I got that one where I want it. I need to go back on this one a little bit more. I guess I could use a hot glue gun, but that's just asking for something to happen. That was being careful enough. Guess I wasn't. I don't like my finger underneath there. All right, now we got it. All right. Now I don't want this thing connected while I'm trying to do the other side. So I'm going to set it off to the side. That's on the right hand side of the starboard side of the tank. And then we'll do the same thing with this side and try to be a little bit better about it. I know why it happened is I have it line it up on the bottom and I needed to line it up in the middle. Much better. All right. That's this one. I guess they do all this so if you want to run it without one of these guards, you can. You don't have to like re-sculpt the Zimrit next to it. But you also can't put this flush against the tank because it's all uneven because of the Zimrit on it. I guess that'll work. No. It's pretty even. It's the height wise. I think we're spot on it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Just wish it wasn't you had to do this much care to it. Like, man, you don't want to wipe every ass. Like, you'll run out of diapers if you wipe every ass. I'm not going to pop it in just yet, but it'll fit right in there. And the track, we're not doing the track right now. Come on. Now let's take a look at these. These brass thingies. Oh, well, they actually give you a decent surface area for them to stick out. Okay. And the notches are towards the inside, so this one goes like this. Looks like it fits on there really well. And then this one goes like that, and that looks like it goes on there pretty well. Okay, cool. We'll install that right now. I'll go use a little boys' room. I'll be right back. I think this is where the antenna is, and it's such a diminutive freaking place where it goes. Right there. Okay. So for this, oh, it almost looks like the turret's too small. You look at this end on, I think that the turret would actually go more towards the outside. Well, we're not going to be converting anything. That's how it is. It's just a model kit, you know. Okay, so this is going to be underneath. So this is the piece that goes on that side. All right, so we're going to try using super glue, and when it lets me down, we'll go to something else. I don't know how durable that is. I'm not a big fan of super glue. There we go. There we go. All right. Now, we got these cables and stuff that need to be on here, and that's it. I'm not going to pre-drill it for the antenna, just in case it's some fluke and has the antenna in a different place. I'm actually okay if there being a little bit of a gap between the Zimrit and that the flange, the hell, what would you call it? Fenders, I guess. Good Lord. 20 and 21. So it looks like they made this in such a way that the front of the cable is showing here, but the rest of the cable is going to be using this. That's kind of odd that they would have made that choice. Now, I may actually not want to fool with this. Especially since it's one frickin' piece. Yeah, so somehow you have to match this all the way around, and it's got to look believable that this is the same cable that's there, which doesn't look very believable to me. All right, let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if we can make this work. Okay. And we'll do this one as well. Let's clean this up. I don't want to glue this to here and then find out that the loop isn't going to work. So I need to take this in baby steps. Because right now this is looking like this showing every signs of being over-engineered. Every sign of being over-engineered. I guess that was it. You just got everybody dumbstruck with Shadow Empire. All right. I am not optimistic this is going to work. I honestly thought, when I just took a glance at this, I honestly thought that there was a, we have the longer one towards the inside, that there was a, just ends, and then you would use this to attach it. That's going to be something like that. This is supposed to be something like so. And then we somehow have to make a loop out of this and a loop out of this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cable and I'm going to split this cable in half. Okay, now we've got that cable split in half. I've never done this, okay, but it's not my first rodeo. All right, and then, oh, it says 75 millimeter. Okay, well, that works. I'm metric friendly. Let's see what 75 millimeter looks like and see if I agree. I'm metric friendly, but where the hell is a metric measurement? This little thing is cool, but I think this is engineering scale. Yeah, that's useless then. I moved them down here. This will work. Before I cut it, 75 millimeters is from here to about so. I think 75 millimeters is too long. It's from here to here. I'll bend it there at 75 millimeters. So in that 75 millimeter, and you do some kind of a semicircular loop. That goes there. Yeah, we'll go with 75 millimeters. That works. That's okay. We're not using our Tamiya cutters for this. Now, how close did I get this? It's already created a crimp there, so. Okay. I don't know how they expect me to stuff it underneath that and look like it's a continuation. Now, it doesn't have to be a perfect twist like this. It just needs to come back to the same place. So I think what I'm going to need to do is, and this is probably pretty safe, is going to go ahead and go in here and super glue, or better yet, epoxy this in a loop formation, and then put some tape over this. And I'm probably going to cheat it towards the inside a little bit. Let's see how that looks. I don't know if the super glue is going to work, but I don't want to lose anything trying it. Let's do this. Let's be smarter than what we're working with here. Let's do a couple things. First of all, we don't want to do it on this because then we end up tying up our entire workspace with that. So we don't need cardboard either. You know, a little shim would probably be just fine. Let's try a little shim. Maybe one that's not so. Yeah. Here we go. Just a little card. Okay, this one, the fat part goes towards the inside, right? The tall, longer part toward the inside. So if that's the inside, then this one needs to loop this way, out this way. So now we're going to just glue this here and that there. And we'll try using this. And I'm going to actually Let's see to get this. I need to get these close. I'm afraid that I'm afraid of I got everything in the right idea. I think we're going to have to use epoxy. Yeah, we're going to have to use epoxy. All right. So it bends towards the big one, which means this one's got to bend this way. Actually, I'm going to do one better than that. Well, now you want to get glued? Screw you. You're not getting glued now. Don't miss your opportunity. Just gonna hold this in place. There we go. Bent in towards the tall one, bent in towards the tall one. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to, I guess I could use super glue, but it's just so freaking brittle. I know if I use epoxy, I won't ever have to worry about it again. All right, let's get this right here. I'd use a hot glue gun, but it could damage this plastic and melt it through. We need very, very little. I've never done this before, but I can figure it out. Come on. That's plenty. Let's make sure we're inside that quite a bit. And I might have to get a little creative on how to do that. As far as it popping up, but we want this thing sealed. All right, let's put this far away. And get rid of the super glue thing too. Let's put the Cromwell Tiger away. And then this is going to sit, and we'll mess with this in the morning. We'll pop this thing off, and then we'll be able to install that. That's garbage. Here's the tracks. Okay. Tiger 1 is done. As far as we can do it. All right. You guys want to do some more? On you guys. Let's pull this out. Well, I don't have a back plate to the Sherman, so I'm probably going to have to do is get another one of those Shermans. Hopefully it comes with a back plate so I can make a cutout and make it out of the same material. So here is a Fujimi T3485. This is what I got. This was $2. And as soon as I opened this, I realized, holy shit, there's 2 of them in here. However, there's only 1 set of tracks. So I have a solution for that. I think this will work. So I had an old Eschi T34 that had a problem that I ran into. I wanted to shrink the tracks for slack, and then I fucked them up. This is a long time ago. So I wasn't able to finish that one. But I should have 2 pieces of track for it. And these are a 1/72nd scale. So they should work on a 1/76, right? I don't know, they're wider. I don't care. It's going to be pretty close. I can always cut this down a little bit, but let's move forward with this. One set of instructions, two models. I don't know what the story is. Some decals here. Oh yay, it's a three-piece haul. Jesus, is anybody even watching this? 7 viewers, who knows? Maybe they're all Chinese and they don't know how to. They're all Chinese bots. I'm not building them both at once. Now, the good thing about this being 1/76 scale is all my 234/85s are 1/76. So that's actually super handy. All right, it's going to have me do the suspension shit first. What's the tank commander that this comes with look like? Well, other than the sucking chest wound that he has there, you don't look too bad. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these with the backs. Okay. I have a shitload of T-34-85s. I think this makes 12. It makes 10 or 12. That's good. That's why you can use 3 Panthers. There's 10 T-34-85s. I only have one that's winter, so it's likely these two will be winter. Or at least some kind of winter camouflage to them. Now, the funny thing is this attaches to the back like... Yeah, this is not a great model. There are not pins to hold these things in place so they don't rotate on you at the wrong time. I don't know how old this is. Printed in Japan. This must have been back when the Japanese made shitty cars. It's probably early 1980s, I'd imagine. And they're molded in this delightfully ugly color. That cable thing I just did, there's no way that I could have done that prior to doing DBA. That would just blow my mind. I would have tried I would have done all the wrong steps. Owl 2, what's up, man? Finally, somebody says something. You know, you don't have to say anything, but I'm wondering, like, is anybody even watching this? Good evening. Like debating, am I going to take a break for dinner? I haven't had dinner yet. It's 8:40. I'm doing it on purpose. Keep me from snacking and eating the whole damn house. We're so engrossed on those wheels. Man, they're slippery as shit. You know, hopefully I'm like encouraging people like, man, don't let this kit give up, you know? Like I don't have a spare tracks. I got a solution for it. I don't know if it'll work, but I'm not doing anything with those other tracks. I am interested in seeing how this thing scales out. You know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this hole out and see how this scales out compared to the other ones that I have. I have lots of these completed. It's a good looking tank too, I think. Even if it is full of communists. Let's get this snazzy tank out here. And these are SHQ. God, it's a sexy beast. It's the same damn size. It's the same damn size. Only thing that's different is this little box here is over here. Does it give you extra little boxes of dirt? Nope. It does give you some spare tracks. That's nice. Sexy beast. God, that's heavy. You drop that on your foot, you're going to wish you hadn't. Let's see. Must admit, I've kind of got Ioana's background noise while I clean the apartment. You know, that's what I do that shit too. Because you never know what I'm going to say. You never know when I'm going to get hurt. I believe you have a couple of those. Oh no, I didn't want to delete it. No, no, I don't want. I want to. You have a couple of those Fujimi kits in your large stash of things to build. They're interesting to see how they fit together. No, I didn't mean to delete. I wanted to. Damn. Well, I read you what it was. Um, yeah, I don't. For starters, it's slippery as shit. I know. I probably should have washed it before, but ain't nobody got time for that. Some of them are probably only pretending to be a communist so they don't end up in the glue. Exactly. Inside every communist is a capitalist urine you get out. Well, I don't blame these Russians, like wanting to pay the Germans back, but you burned down my whole country. I burned your country down. This is a good looking tank, though. It's an attractive vehicle. I'd say all the T-34s are attractive. Okay, one wheel down. Now, the interesting thing about this, well, we're not going to have a whole lot of errors in the instructions because they don't tell you shit. They're going to be able to tell you shit. But one of the things is they want you to put these wheels together as two halves. Okay, fair point. However, there's no holes that they sit. So this is a problem. So you've got that has a little bit of a flange sticking out, and you've got this is basically flush. Now, if these were in fact wheels that are drilled out to save material and weight, they'd be drilled all the way through. They wouldn't be like that. So Fujimi went the cheap seats and didn't detail them. However, these need to sit back to back, and there's nothing for them to sit to. There's no guide. They're not notched or anything. So this is going to be like act of God putting them on there. So I have a feeling that what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to slide these on. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide these on and then glue them in place. And then after they're glued in place, then I will put this top one. And then they're lined up. Because if I try to line them up before, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, they actually look good. Um, After a while, after you look at some of these road wheels, the ones I start liking the least are the ones that are early war, that are just solid. I like these spokey ones. No, they weren't like bicycle spoked, but the holes went all the way through. So these holes, not all the way through, but see how there's to save material? They would save the material on the inside also. They just Now I am not a road wheel Nazi, so we're not going to take a $1 model because there was two kits in here for $2. Like now, what I'm really not liking is this piece freaking hole. It's like covered in Pam. Like I know this thing was. I don't know when they poured this in the mold, but I probably lived at home when that happened. It definitely was in the 1980s. Can your kid work a pin vise? No, I don't want to mix my daughter in this. Really not worth it. You do all that and realize that the holes that are on the front side, that this side are wrong to begin with. Like, point of diminishing returns. Okay. Big old Bubba truck. Owl 2, what part of the word are you from? What part of the word? Or we can just call you by your German name. Uhu. I was talking about that, I think, this morning. That flying wing from Indiana Jones. There's some guys that actually make one at Etsy. They don't tell you what scale it is, but they make a model of that flying wing. They actually have a name for it, the BW-38 or BV, Blom and Voss. Kakalaki, the North one. Empress makes the Indiana Jones tank. Yeah, that but they have whatever the hell it's supposed to be. Well, they don't make it in 20 mil though. North Kakalakistan. Yeah, they closed down that museum there that was on the border there in Danville. I mean, I know it's in Virginia, but it's barely in Virginia. Never got a chance to go to that. He had a shitload of tanks in there. When I found out about it, we could have gone on the way to Historicon, but they were only open on Saturday and Friday and Saturday. I'm like, that doesn't really work. It'd have to be open on like Sunday. Or ideally Tuesday or Wednesday. Your in-laws were from Florida. Yes, you went there. It was awesome. Was it? Was it in good shape or was it like I think it's called American Armed Forces Museum or something like that. Something like that. Was it a lot of things in disrepair? And they're like, oh, well, you could go to the Fort Benning one or whatever the hell, whatever it's named now, Fort Moore. But it's only open like twice a year for visitors. Like, that's. And Columbus, Georgia's in the middle of freaking nowhere. I mean, I think you have to go through Hazard County and wherever the hell the Bellevue Hillbillies are from to go through to get to Columbus, Georgia from here. Painted the wrong color. M60 Starship. They built that tank on rock and roll, huh? That's a wild tank. That a gray Panzer IV, huh? I bet it was. I bet that's what it was. Okay, so here's actually this actually might not be a mistake. Look at the front of the fenders there. They're square. There actually might be a factory that makes them square, not rounded. Might need to look into that. Now, the only T-34 I've sat next to was one of these. The one they have in the Imperial War Museum in London, in Londinium. And I was surprised by how long it wasn't. It was, this dimension seemed a lot shorter than it was. Man, the finish turned out really good on that. I was, wow, that's me likey. I haven't even used it in combat yet. And, but it was really tall. Like, it would have been difficult to climb on top of this thing. With Schertzen, that's a giveaway. If it's got Schertzen, it can't be gray. I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of a Schertzen vehicle in gray, ever. We almost done. We almost done. I just reading there was an order that Panzers could be painted gray if they ran out of dark yellow, but there are no known examples of this ever happening. Well, they have to get the dark gray paint. And they were painted dark gray. You know, one thing that surprised me is I was looking like, why did they bother painting the German tanks dark gray? Right? Like, I think they look good. But, like, you know, what good does it do? Like, what kind of camouflage is dark gray? And then I read somewhere that it was against photography. You paint them dark gray, somebody comes in and does a photo op on them, and they just blend into the photo. I'm like, all right. Now, I happen to like Panzers in gray because it matches the infantry. But yeah, how are you going to get dark gray paint? You know. All right, let's clean this thing up. That looks all right. Where is Marcus? We can play. What's the underside look like for Marcus? Yeah, it's got some underside detail. We're going to attempt to use weld cement on this. Push turret in by thumb. Oh, this is going to have a weird primitive. Okay. Now, as primitive as this thing is, it probably looks better than the Skytrex T-34s I have. The Skytrex T-34s I have are T-34 76s of all kinds of different flavors. I gotta be careful. There's actually little latches here, which means this is the back. Yeah, you don't need to see me pull a model together. It looks that fits well. You need to see me put together something that's a pizza chip. But you know what? These pizza chips will paint up just fine. All right. Luckily, none of these are out of whack. Arawak. That's one of those islands near you, Mr. Heine. That's over near off of New Guinea, isn't it? Arawak. Or is it in Indonesia? "12th SS tank camo patterns Ardennes topic." Well, is that what you're doing? You're doing a Hitler-Jugend 12th SS unit? I don't know much about the Ardennes. I know that the 12th in Normandy was one of those units that did not follow the correct nomenclature pattern for the tank numbering. So in other words, they had numbers, their last digit, they used the 5 digit as the 1. So in other words, instead of having like a tank 121, which would have been the platoon leader's vehicle of the second it would be the platoon, it would be the squad, the platoon leader's vehicle. Okay, first company, second platoon, first vehicle. So it would have been, instead of it being the command vehicle, that 121 in the 12th SS would have been 125. So their numbers ran like 125, 126, 127, 128, 129. In Normandy. I don't know what they did after that. Because by the time they get to the Ardennes, there's all kinds of weird numbering schemes. Oh, that was where I read about the gray camo late war. I'd bet money there's no 12th SS vehicles painted gray. Okay, we know this is the back, or we think this is the back. Yep, there's a little latches. Okay, so the transmission goes on the back. This goes on the front like this. How are we looking fit and finish wise? Not bad, as long as it holds. Let's see what happens. God, that thing's heavy. You live near Mayberry in North Carolina? I hated that show. Of course, I didn't watch anything that was black and white. I don't care about old programming. A black and white show? You got to be kidding me. Rally. Rally. Let's see. My experience of North Carolina is let's see. My last experience is we stopped in Wilmington and went to see the North Carolina battleship. And Mitch and I did a video, an impromptu video. That was a hell of a lot of fun. We spent one night on our way to go see my wife's friend that lives right outside D.C. in Fayetteville. That was a mistake. We're like, hey, let's go out to eat. I'm like, holy zombies. It was like Stark. It was like Stark, Florida. It's up bigger, obviously. So the hotel we stayed at was fine, but it was by the interstate. We're like, okay, that's as far as we made it. Because we couldn't leave first thing in the morning. Anywhere I go on a road trip, I'm leaving at 5 a.m. I don't want to run my mouth, but this plastic and this glue seem to be liking each other. And every one of these plastics is made slightly different. Now I don't plan on putting tracks on any more vehicles until I get the Dan's specific copper wire, because I'm a fan of make that just. I mean, I was successful with the ways I did it. With the ways I did it, I was successful with the way I did it. It just took way too long. You know, could better use that time for something else. We came out on top, but Vietnam, it was rough, man. It was rough. Like it's like all there's just too many people on the streets, and they all shuffle their feet. You know, like man, I better be careful because of course in case one of these guys gets hungry. Vietnam, dude, the fit on this is awesome. Yeah, the Fujimi stuff is a mixed bag. I mean, when I worked at the hobby store, it was like Tamiya, Fujimi, Hasegawa. Those three Japanese things were all really good, but that's because we didn't have access to some of their older stuff. And really, I think all of the Tamiya stuff fits well, but Tamiya doesn't do this scale. All right, let's see how this system works. Man, this is good. This is really good. Vietnam. You fuck up now. And then we've been to Asheville a couple times. Okay, this goes to the inside. No, you don't. And one year we stayed in over the holidays or after Christmas and New Year's. We stayed in what's the name of that town? That's ooh. We have a gap here. We have a gap between the second and third. Yep, it's supposed to be that way. What's the name of that town? Cashiers, North Carolina. I want to go up there and take my car and do that Tail of the Dragon. It's almost time to refill this thing. Buy another one and refill it. All those places up there. It's like, hey, find pan for gold or whatever. All those little tourist traps that want you to pan for gold. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's like a whole town that has. Actually, the last time I went up there was probably the best. But yeah, it's my look. It's like going to a what do you call that? A Whole Foods. It's like a whole town's a Whole Foods. Far out, man. we stayed for an Airbnb in Nashville a couple years ago. We had a good time. Takes a little while to get there. It's not too bad. But you know, when you're used to driving a Historicon year after year after year after year, it's not that bad. Well, you know, other than these three wheels being like touching each other close, that doesn't look bad. Okay, so Bloody Russian tanks have the sprocket wheels on the back. And not only that, the sprockets are on the inside. Not going to find it there. Be nice if this was a different style turret than the other ones, and I think it is. It's got that flat design here. Got that flat spot there. Have you ever done it? No, I've never done that. Pan for gold. Everything is farm to fork. A lot of the food is good though. There's one place we ate at that was excellent. I don't remember where it was, but it was definitely in North Carolina. I have the coaster here for it. I just gotta remember where I put my coasters. It's a feather. There we go. I believe I have a coaster for it. The logo's like Jaybird or some shit like that. That's Sarasota, St. Petersburg. I don't know why I kept these, I just did. Disney, South Seas Club. What's up? Yeah. I think I got one from here. Dock Fords, Raglan Road, Broken Compass. Now it's Breckenridge, Colorado. Thought I did. Tommy Bahamas. This is our local pub here. I thought I had one. Magpie, is that right? Something like that? Magpie? God, where is that? I guess I don't have one. I thought I did. Anyways, that was a good place. I don't even remember where it is. It was between Cashiers and Asheville, I think. I could find it on a map. I'm a map guru. That was a good place. It was a farm to table. Coaster bases, yeah. Blackbird, magpie, something like that. And it was like country food without being country food. It's fancy. Without being like, super fancy. There's still them hipsters that were in there. You know, those places got to have the hipsters working there, or nobody would work there. Ah! People will be like, "Well, you're playing war games." I said, "Because I'm a devout pacifist. You know, every day. So I don't want to like trade goods or whatever." Like, what do they call those? Those German German games. You don't. There's no combat or anything with them. I was like, you should play games with combat, not real combat. The real combat don't work out too well for them. You get the tiger done? I did. No, he's following that T-34 for like an hour. Has it been an hour? You T-34 fondler. Look at that. Here's the tiger. And we epoxied the end of these cables onto the ends. We'll see how that looks like in the morning. That's something like, there's no way I could have done that 20 years ago. I don't know what to do. It may not work out, but you know what? They're not glued to the tiger. The T-34 fondler. There's worse things you could be fondling. Be like that guy that my sniper's named after, Sandusky. Oh, too soon. This needs to close. Never leave the doors on something like that open. Next thing you know, you run into it. Tankophile. Oh man, that's a good name for a channel. Tony's Tankophiles. Tankophile Tony. That's a good name. I can't do that though. Nobody know how to spell file. I know. So you probably shouldn't come to my channel if you don't know how to spell that, but it's the world we live in. I stopped trying to give people like addresses to like my channel. What's your channel called? I said just do Tony space WW2 space DBA. You'll find me. I'll be the first thing that comes up. World War One armor. God, those tanks are ugly. I mean, the Renault isn't bad looking, and those Saint Chamond or whatever those are called, in All Quiet on the Western Front, those things look badass. But I don't really like those Mark IVs or whatever they are, and the German one's just a bloody box that they only made. They didn't even make a baker's dozen of those. And I don't mind World War One. I like World War One naval. World War One armored cars are cool. Do they all have solid tires? Ben doesn't like that one armored car that he got. I think it's a World War I armored car. Worst instructions ever. Strelitz, I think. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Little ones go to the front. This is the front. Panzerfile. Now, I prefer tank than Panzer just makes it sound like, oh, so you just build German shit, huh? Nope. Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I prefer not to build German stuff. Well, why is that? Because everybody does. Everybody builds Germans, German side Germans, and the German stuff's cool, but they need other people to fight. Cannot be all Germans. German stuff can be really cool. I have my eye on the Panzer, on the Panzer II with a Breda from Empress from their SCW. Empress. They must be some people that do 28 mil. It sounds like a 28 mil company. Empress Miniatures sounds like a company that would do a lot of Victorian stuff. Empress of India, Harumph, and all that. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm not putting the tracks on tonight because this needs to be glued well. But it came with 2 tanks. I don't know why, but only 1 set of tracks. So I have an old Eschi set of tracks, which are 1/72nd scale, and they shrank because somebody says, "Yeah, put them in hot water to shrink them." Never do that shit again. And I think we'll be able to make them work with the Dan system of drilling holes in them. Now, I got to be careful. These don't have any dry rot on them, but I've had these a long time. Okay, so where are you going? What time is it, man? I got to get some dinner, man. I got to get some dinner. So I'm glad you guys got all fired up, but we're gonna have to continue in the morning, because it's 9:20. I don't need to be eating at 10 o'clock at night. All right, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Take care, and we'll be back on the T-34s in the morning. All right, folks. Bye-bye.